everyone, thanks for checking in. Today I'll talk about what GPA do you need to get into medical school. This is a question I get asked all the time. What was your GPA to get into medical school? What GPA do I need to get into medical school? What's a safe GPA to get into medical school? And unfortunately, like most things in life, especially things that are very complicated and hard to get to, there's no simple answer. It's like asking how many hours a day do you have to train to get an MBA? There's no answer you can do. It's totally dependent on a whole host of factors. For UBC, University of British Columbia, for the Faculty of Medicine, they have some clarity on it in that they have a baseline requirement, which is, not every school has this, but for University of British Columbia, UBC, it is required that all in-province applications who are residents or born in British Columbia have a grade point average or an average grade of 75% or higher. And in Canada, most schools tend to do percentages instead of pure GPA, which is much more in the States. So when I was at Boston University, I didn't get percentages or average percentage grade. It was more a grade point average. And then for out of province in UBC, you must be over 85% average. However, just having that enough or being over doesn't mean you're going to get in. And usually the average grades of matriculation is much higher than the baselines that schools have. So is it necessary or absolutely vital that you have a perfect GPA? And I think to answer that question, the AAMC releases an awesome resource that I came across while I was teaching the MCAT for Kaplan. And I can't give it to you because it's not my intellectual property, but if you Google it, it's table 24A from the AAMC, and it's MCAT and GPA grade of applicants. And they haven't created one yet, from my understanding, about based on the new MCAT scoring, but they're essentially the same because it's really the percentiles that matter, not whether you got a 45 or a 256 or 512, excuse me, or whatever the perfect score is, or 548 or 528, excuse me, my bad. So it's the percentages, and they basically show you based on, and on this part of the column, it's broken down to GPAs. So it goes 3.8 to 4.0, 3.69. 3.6 to 3.79, etc., etc., and it's broken down from lowest MCAT to highest MCAT. And what's surprising and what's most startling to me was the group of students, and there are about 53 students, who had a GPA between 3.8 and 4.0 and an MCAT score of 39 to 45. And just to really put into perspective how amazing and ridiculous of an accomplishment an MCAT score of 39 to 45 is, out of the tens of thousands of people that are taking the MCAT, probably 10 to 15 students every testing are getting a score that high. So this is not just an absolute hardworking, study their ass off. It's outlier of the outliers of the outliers. You're on your curves. That's 2, maybe 3 standard deviations from the mean of that test. So that's an absolutely ridiculous score. And even of those students with the perfect numbers, you can ask for any better numbers, 6% of those students didn't get into a single medical school in the United States. Obviously, applications different in the US and Canada, but I think it really highlights an important trend that a lot of medical schools are going towards now. And our pre-med advisor at Boston University really harped on this, and a lot of medical schools love to talk about it, and they truly are, because they're understanding that we can't just treat the biomedical disease, we have to treat the illness, and they want a more holistic approach to admissions. But it's an holistic approach with the numbers. So just having the perfect numbers isn't enough. So what GPA should you aim for? And I'm a big proponent of not aiming for grades or specific GPA. I was kind of obsessed with that, especially in my first 3 years at Boston University, and it stressed me the hell out. Really didn't matter. I've never even talked about my GPA, even though it was really high at Boston University. I never talk about it anymore. It's not even a factor. Nobody even gives a crap about what your grades are when you get into medical school, because how hard you work, how dedicated are you to learning, and how you can perform in the clinic. So you just need to get the grades to get into medical school. However, as I mentioned in our previous video where we talked about how to beat exam anxiety, you shouldn't study just for grades. You study for your learning and to be able to use information, because you never know what piece of information is going to help you save a patient's life. So I think the best recommendation, and it may seem kind of cliche, but it's absolutely true, is do the best you can. Right? You really can't 100% control the grades. You can positively influence them by studying hard, being consistent, staying on top of things, but you can 100% guarantee, because you study your ass off, you're going to get 100% all the courses, you're going to have a 4.0 GPA, you're going to have a 45 MCAT, whatever the perfect score is in the new MCAT. Absolutely not. But you can do the best you can and realize that numbers are not the be-all, the end-all. And something that may be more realistic, and many of you have really good grades and really good MCAT. For example, the GPA group from a 3.6 to a 3.79 and a 33 to a 35 MCAT, which is the range I fell in, So out of those students that have really high achieving, probably excellent students, 12% didn't get to a single medical school in the United States in that application cycle. So you really have to question people who are saying, here's my secret to 4.0 GPA and magically get into medicine. There is no magic formula. It's totally dependent on the application cycle, the school, timing, your own individual application, who reads your application because it's a committee, and how they vibe with it. So it's a whole host of factors. But in terms of grades, the biggest piece of advice I can give you is do not stress over them. I wasted so many years stressing over exams, finagling for marks, being so obsessed with it, and it really didn't make that big of a difference. Do the best you can, enjoy the process of learning, and develop your intellectual capacity, because that's really what's going to help you if you do get into medicine. You don't want to just do whatever you can to get the grades and then realize I really didn't take the opportunity to really develop my skills so I could get into medical school and excel. It's not about just getting into medical school. It's about making sure you can get in and thrive while you're there. So I really hope you enjoyed this video and help answer your question of what GPA do you need to get into medical school. And if you have any other further questions about medical school admissions or medical school in general, please make sure to leave a comment below and let me know what they are so I can make a future video kind of help address any questions you may have. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.